I'm Hannah, and this is STEM Works, the show where we explore careers in science, technology, engineering, and math, and what makes them so much fun. We take you inside businesses and talk to professionals in their fields and explore what they do. And today, we're headed over to visit with our friends at Tesla to find out what they do.
PBS Reno STEM Works is brought to you in part by the Desert Research Institute.
Most of you probably know that cars are made at car factories. In fact, everything from the car your parents drive, the planes you see in the sky, to the phone in your pocket was probably made at a factory somewhere. The car company Tesla is no exception, although they build their cars at a Gigafactory, which is basically a really, really big car factory. But have you ever wondered what it takes to design and build an entire factory where they actually assemble these cars? It seems like a really complicated thing to have all of those moving parts like robotic arms and conveyors working together to make a beautiful electric car come out at the end of a seemingly chaotic production line. Well, we're in luck, as today we'll get to talk with Senior Technical Program Manager Amber Debello and Staff Industrial Engineer Mathew Kengat, who know all about what it takes to design and maintain a Gigafactory. Because that's their job at Tesla, building and maintaining factories. So come on, let's head over and visit with our friends at Tesla to see all that they do to make a factory run efficiently and producing their latest electric cars. All right, here we go. So tell us, what exactly do you do at Tesla?
So I'm responsible for factory layout design, which means I am responsible for configuring the entire factory for all our sites.
I try to organize a team of 20 to 30 engineers to spec out new equipment, work with vendors, and start up a new production line for Tesla.
We try to make our factories as efficient, safe as possible, and as fast as possible.
Training the robots, teaching them how to recover in a situation where they crash, making sure they can do the same job over and over again effectively.
So a lot of times it's actually working with the manufacturing engineers and figuring out what is the best manufacturing line that we can design.
I need to make sure that the team stays on schedule and that we stay on budget so that we can deliver a cost-effective product for Tesla.
It's almost like being an architect, but on like an industrial scale. You're spending millions of dollars to build these buildings. And so if you're wasting that space, you're just burning money at that point.
We want the whole world to be able to drive a Model 3, but the challenge is producing enough to keep up with people's demand. So being able to produce cars faster is what we're trying to do right now.
Why is it important to be efficient when making electric cars?
If you were to design a factory inefficiently, you're not as environmentally friendly. It also makes it so you're using more energy to produce the good that you're making.
So right now a really large problem is offsetting carbon emissions. One way to do that is to drive and produce electric vehicles.
So Matthew, how do you make sure the factory is efficient?
If you look at a manufacturing line, most of it's air. So looking at that space and saying, could we even go vertical with it? A lot of factories think in two-dimensional, we think in 3D. You look at your manufacturing's rate of output, so how much can this line produce? And you look at the distance that product has to go from that line to the next line. So it's really just a complex puzzle. But the puzzle pieces are shifting, and you have to make the best puzzle.
What do you like best about your job?
So I really like my job because I get to help others make sure that they can complete their jobs and their homework, essentially.
My job is really cool in the fact that you're designing a factory, a very big factories, and you're going to produce something out of it. It's very satisfying to see your work come alive.
Where you get to use your hands, you get to move at a really fast pace, you get to be challenged and try to think of solutions to solve some of the world's largest problems.
And I know I'm also changing how the world's going to work. And it's really pushing the needle. I mean, you're seeing these other car companies are changing their ways too, because they see like, hey, this company did this and they're seeing great success. I'm going to do this too.
What are some of the most important skills in your job?
I think a really important skill set to have right now is programming. Tell the machines what you want it to do. And that's a huge advantage.
Creativity is extremely important. We need to implement what we call scrappy solutions. So we can get together on a project and we'll look to say, do we need to buy a $100,000 tool? Or can we spend $1,000 at our local Home Depot store, come up with a prototype, and see if this works first?
I always tell people engineering is almost like an artist, except for instead of a canvas, you use physics to kind of bound you in. But you still have to be creative. You still have to design, and that's, I think, where those two things merge, and that's what makes engineering fun.
So having an understanding of robotics and tools for our production and manufacturing partners is really helpful. Also understanding the technology and technical challenges of each of our teammates and see what resources we have out there to help them.
As an engineer, that's what you do, you solve problems. I mean, there's problems being thrown at you constantly. As time goes on, you become really efficient at it. And that's, I think, kind of what we need right now is the ability to solve problems.
Even though we have these really complex problems to work on, we all are really passionate about helping the larger team accomplish the goals.
So there's a lot of collaboration in our job, and a lot of times we're kind of like the first line to identify where we see future problems.
My communicating helps align a large group of people to the same goal and make sure that we stay on track for our project schedule. Being able to communicate effectively is what helps me excel at being an engineer.
What other advice do you have for us?
My advice for kids wanting to work in engineering and robotics is to see if there's any opportunities to interact with robotics, science camps, your local Girl Scouts or Boy Scouts.
I highly encourage people to play with toys that inspire creation, like Legos. I was a big fan of Kinects when I was a kid.
Play outside with your friends. Come up with fun games and fun adventures that you can do together.
There's a lot of stuff available online. You know, you can buy microcontrollers, so you can make your own robots. You can be an engineer, basically.
Also asking your parents and your parents' friends, what do you do? What jobs have you done? And try to learn from that. You might be surprised at the really cool jobs that your parents or your teachers know about.
I highly encourage people to go visit some of these facilities and see it in action and get a feel for what engineering is. See if you can shadow someone that's in engineering. You'll never know if it's something you like until you try it.
For any young girls interested in STEM, some things that I did where I researched who was the first biologist who was female, who was the first astronaut who was female, and I read a book about them. I would watch movies about them, and I learned about those role models and how they got interested in the career.
Put your heads together and come up with ideas. Like, it doesn't hurt to just creatively think of solutions, even if it's crazy. That's going to be your first step in being able to solve the world's problems.
Wow, I don't know about you, but that was so much fun seeing all the robots working together to build the cars at Tesla. Thanks to Matthew and Amber for showing us around their amazing factory. I mean, Gigafactory. Now I wish I got to play with robots all day and see what they can build for me. Well, that's about all the time we have. But I want to thank you for all joining us on this episode of PBS Reno STEM Works. You can find out more information about Tesla at their website, tesla.com. For more information on these careers and others, visit pbsreno.org/STEMworks. And as always, don't forget to get out there and discover what it is that gets you going and on the right path to your STEM future.
PBS Reno STEM Works is brought to you in part by the Desert Research Institute.